Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday to you. If it is Friday to you. It is my Friday. And this will be episode 814. Beep. How are we doing today? What's been happening? I think I'm over my jet lag-ish. I don't know if I said, but I read once, for every, I don't know if I said this before, I repeat myself. After 914 episodes, I shall repeat many a things. But for every hour of time difference, it can equate to a day of recovery. So America to England's 8 hours. So that could be 8 hours of gradual recovery. And it was the 8th day today. I think. Seems like a long time ago. But how are we doing? Ready to learn, ready to grow. Also, we hit 26,000 subscribers yesterday or today. 26,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is nice. I'll take that. And we're growing the YouTube. In fact, we got 26,028. But we're getting like 90, or I won't lie, 87,800 views a month. Which is half the podcast, but we're growing. We're growing. We're getting out there. Which is wonderful. Doing the work. So before, I didn't come through, but on YouTube, Tiny but Mighty Cookie said, I have to say, you're a genius. Your app is a lifesaver. Thank you for caring so much for helping us. That's so kind. Thank you ever so much. I love helping as much as I can. And that's why I do all the free work. And I've got my main program as well. But I like doing the work. Even when I'm tired. Even when I'm tired. And we can have fun. Even when we're tired. But thank you so much for your kind words. Also, first time I've ever gotten the chance, at least I can't talk today, which is a bit of a problem doing a live stream. First time I've ever gotten the chance to at least catch 10 to 15 minutes of a live. Well, that's awesome. Welcome, my friend. Great to have you here. I'm thinking of buying something for myself. A prompter. Because at the moment I've got a monitor here, so you'll see my eyes over here looking at the chat. But if I buy this prompter, which will fit on the camera right here, I can pull in the chat into the camera, on the screen of the camera, and that means I can always be looking forward. I might do that. Get myself an early birthday present. Welcome, Cheryl. No problems at all. Just miscommunication. I just want to be very, very clear in how I communicate. So I'll always be as clear as possible on the comments. And thank you for putting the thumbs up. Appreciate that. Leah is here as well, all the way in Australia too. I'm doing pretty good. Pretty tired, but pretty good. I'm not sure I said this. I passed out on my couch at like 10:30, but it's kind of cool because my feet were like this on the like as if I'm just sitting on the couch, but I was bent over, and then my face planted to the side of the couch. So I was in that position because of my jet lag from 10:30 to 2 a.m. It's weird how jet lag does that to me. Great to have you here, Leah, and a superstar Diane. Great to have you here, and thank you so much for the congratulations. Yeah, 26,000. We're growing about 800 a month at the moment. 800 subscribers a month. So that's awesome. Hopefully we can help more people. And thank you so much, Leah. And hello, hello, hello. How you doing, my friend? Great to have you back, Eric. So, this episode might legitimately be smaller because it's a smaller topic and because I want to restore. But thank you for your presence being here. Yeah, it was a little bit twisted. A little bit twisted. And my shoulder's a little bit jacked at the moment. But I managed to walk out today, which is good. Had rest day yesterday, so I needed a rest. But I managed to walk out because I'm obese. I feel obese at the moment. I gotta lose like 7 pounds, I think. I should probably listen to my own hypnosis. That would be good. Speed up the metabolism. There we go. Coaching call tomorrow. That's going to be amazing. My first one of the year. My father did the other one. But I'm back in the seat tomorrow. But I stand. And yeah, I think that's all the updates I've got. So we might start early. What else have I got to say? I don't know. Probably just change the cameras. Angles in a moment. Get the auto camera up and running. But do you reckon I should invest in a prompter? Do you think I should? I think I should. I like buying tech stuff. Yeah. So I used to get them here and there. Because in America, there's a place, I can't remember what it's called now. What's it called? But you pay like a monthly fee. So I used to do that quite often. But then I just did it because I've had back issues before. Yeah, I only do it when I've got bad back issues. Highlight of my trip, obviously I've got to say my family. The nieces, the nephews. So that was really fun. It's amazing to see them grow. And just see how their personalities change each time almost. Second, obviously my friends as well. So I'm still friends with my school friends. So every time I'm out back in England, we always hang out. Well, I've known them since I'm like 11, all the way up to now, or younger. And then the food. It's all about the food. I've got obligation. I can't say the word. But of course, family. Then food. And then greenery. Seeing green everywhere. The worst thing the weather. It wasn't bad weather. It was like 11 degrees Celsius or like in the 50s Fahrenheit. But that's always my downside about England. But yeah, food. The Christmas dinner, the Indian food. On the Speed Up Metabolism, my weight program means I don't have to need a blanket at night. Yeah, that is surprising. I run naturally very warm. But yeah, it's really awesome that we can do that. Hey Nesta, great to have you here as well. Welcome, our first Facebooker. Ooh, so like the acupuncture needling or the I went to a chiropractor and they put the needle which is to the electric, so they vibrate that one, or just the more of the acupuncture one. The one when they put it like to the vibration of the electricity, that's a interesting experience. Hey my friend, welcome back, Mad. All the way in England. It was a great time. Yeah, I always like going back to England. Oh dear. That's the food. You just can't get good Indian food in San Diego, in my opinion. It's just different. I was talking to my trainer about it today, and I think it's like trying to get good Mexican food in England. You're not going to get really good Mexican. There might be one or two, but you're not going to get really good Mexican food compared to like San Diego. I wasn't a big fan of Mexican food because it wasn't that good in England. But if you go over here, Mexican food's great. So that's what I think. It's just different. Okay, gotcha. I really like going to the restaurants. Like the family experience. That's what I really like about Indian food as well. Because I request it a minimum of 2 times. It used to be a minimum of 3 times. Because I'd go 3 different locations. But now the Indian food, like the restaurant is like in a family experience each time, which adds an extra level of specialness to it. So that's when all the family comes together in the different areas. I have a small family, but that's what we do. I say a small family, got 4 nieces and nephews. So that will maybe change. But anyway, this could be a controversial episode. So bear with me on the controversy if you think it is. See if it pushes up against some values or beliefs, because that's okay. So it might be a bit pushing, but we'll see. It's good to be challenged, or to consider your own beliefs, your own values, to figure things out. Because that's how you get to knowing, right, is by comparing and kind of seeing different points of view, and seeing if it's your true or not true for you. So we'll get into that in a moment. I'll take off that comment right there. Exactly. And before on the countdown, I had another extra add-on to maybe expand the episode. So it's going to be mainly 2 points. Yes. I haven't got any booing. I should have a booing. I got that. Got that, a record scratch. But no booing. And no visual for that. But yeah, you may need a thumbs down. So feel free to hit the thumbs down. Can't see if anyone hits thumbs down. YouTube annoyingly took that away from us. if you want to, it doesn't. I have a theory sometimes. Well, it's not a theory, it's true. Controversy creates views, right? That's how they want to kind of get in the algorithm. So maybe if you get more thumbs down, it makes people go, oh, what's he on about? But don't do the thumbs down. Unless you really dislike the video, the stream. I don't mind feedback. But let's get to it. Let's start a little bit early. If you recall, I usually go live on Monday and Fridays now. Wednesdays are an upload for the hypnosis. But because I got back from England last week, I said I might go live today. And of course, I am here. But I did say if I was going live, it might be a shorter one because I am recovering. I feel it in my voice a little bit. But that gives me permission to go a little bit shorter. Yeah. I think that's what they do. That's what they do. But this subject came to me, so I wanted to go live with it. So let's turn this down a little bit and let's start. Let's go! Let's go! We're actually missing a few familiar faces. Maybe because I didn't plan this ahead of time that much. But we'll see. So, stop that camera please. And then we'll bring out that button. Got to remember the buttons because I forgot. It's been too long. Add the volume. And let's go. 3, episode 914. No, wrong one. Episode 914. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 914. And in today's episode, we are talking about something which may push up against your values, your belief systems, and I never really apologize for doing so, because you can disagree with me. It's okay to disagree with people. And in fact, in the second half of this episode, it's going to be a question as to the types of information that you're getting. So feel free to totally disregard this if it does not resonate with you. But maybe if you stick around and just notice what I'm saying, because ultimately this episode is when self-help or self-development gets harmful. So let's really dive into it. When does self-development or self-help become a bit of a problem? Let me give you an analogy first. Let's just say you have something wrong within you on a physiological level. And in other words, you have a pain somewhere. Now, I don't think, unless you're in a very certain situation or you're very, very trained, that you wouldn't do self-surgery, right? It's not something that you'd typically go to straight away if you had an ailment in your body. Because number one, you're not a surgeon or maybe not a doctor. Number two, because you're not trained, you wouldn't be able to do any of the surgery, and it's going to be pretty dangerous, right? You'll be, without being graphic, you're digging around not knowing what you're doing. It's not going to end very well. So of course, you'd absolutely never do self-surgery. Let's take it into another context. Let's say like me, I know nothing about cars. I hear the words around cars like carburetor, if that's the word, obviously gears and all those types of things, the engine. But if something goes wrong with my car, I'm not gonna put up the hood, or in England, the bonnet, and start just turning things. I'm digging around and figuring out what's, like, if I just unplug this, I'm going to just see what happens. Or I'm going to turn this a little bit, or I'm going to chuck that bit out, maybe put a bit of this over here. Because what's going to happen? I'm actually going to do more damage to my vehicle, my car, if I start to do this self-mechanics, right? Because I'm not a mechanic. And I'm sure you'd agree you'd probably not do that unless you are a mechanic or you've had a level of training to be able to do such a thing. So we know there are many examples where you would probably not do the self-surgery or the self-mechanic or the be like a self-electrician or anything like that. And then we've got the subject of the mind. Because working on surgery would be very bad. Working on a car could be crazy dangerous, like if you accidentally take out the brakes. Then we've got the mind, which is so delicate. And we don't think about the delicacy of the mind because we just think about it as, well, I have beliefs, I have values, I have anxiety, I have confidence, I have these experiences, I have memories. And if you've been listening to my work for a long time, you've probably got a lot of education around the mind. And I wish, maybe it'll be one of my super extended missions later on, to be able to get this kind of work into schools at an earlier age. Because that's one thing that we don't do. There's lots of things we don't do in school. We don't talk about debts. We don't talk about credit cards. We don't talk about investments. We don't talk about many things about being an adult in the future to manage these things. In fact, at 18, you just, I've got a card. I can do whatever I like and not expect to pay it back. So there's lots of things missing of education. But of course, when it comes to the positive psychology or how just the brain works, how our values and our feelings are, is not really taught at school. So we've never really had the manual or the education, like going to a university to be that surgeon or to go through lots of training as a mechanic or electrician, all the schooling around that. We definitely don't do it with the mind itself. And that becomes harmful in certain situations. Because we know we wouldn't do the self-surgery, but we're trying to do this self-help, this self-surgery on the mind. And sometimes we don't know where we're digging around. You see, the unconscious mind represses things for certain reasons, for things like protection. If it doesn't want you to be aware, that is why most of the time, the issue that we have is hidden. That's why I call it the hidden root cause. It's an unconscious thing. It's not a conscious thing. So when you're consciously trying to do it all alone, it can be very tricky. I'm not saying you can't do so. There are many times that people are able to have the resiliency, the time, the exploration, to be able to work upon themselves and to really figure things out. But the interesting thing when it comes to the unconscious mind, if we take the idea of hypnosis as a subject, is that hypnosis is not a conscious process, is it? In fact, it's the ability to bypass the conscious critical thinking or the conscious critical structure and barrier to be able to do the work. And that is why you usually need a hypnotist, whether it be in audio or whether it be in person or whether it be a program, to be able to get out your own way so the unconscious mind can do the process. So if we just take that as an example, we can then definitely see that sometimes the self-help movement, the self-development movement as an industry can actually create some issues. And I'll tell you some of the issues. Number one, it can take a lot of time. It can take a lot of time figuring it out. And if it does not work, in other words, if you do not get the outcome that you're after, and I just remembered saying, I'll backtrack in a moment on that point. The other thing that we tend to do is we only work on symptoms. We only work on what we feel the most, right? So we could be doing all the self-help on anxiety or the OCD or fill in the blank, but that's not the real issue because it's more unconscious, beneath the surface. There's a root cause that it's very hard for us to consciously be aware of because it's buried deep within. So we tend to, as humans, work on what we feel or experience the most. And that's why it's so easy to go, I'm going to work on anxiety solely. I'm going to work specifically on my self-sabotage without even thinking or understanding the reasons behind those. It's very much like going back to the analogy of the body, you might have a pain somewhere in your body and think, well, that's just a headache, so I'm just going to take these pills to be able to reduce it. But it could be something more than that. It could be something obviously dangerous, but it could be like dehydration. We want to make sure we understand the root cause, or it could be a bacterial infection. There's something always deeper. So remember, if we're doing the self-help, and that can be an issue because we're working on what we think is the issue or what we feel or experience the most, and that's not usually, most of the time in my experience, the real issue. And that's the door. But that's always a good little thing. That's like a little aha moment, right? Ah, the door just went. Now, the second aspect is this, how it can actually create issues. And that is that the more you try by yourself, the more you do the self-help or the self-development, the more you start to do that and you do not get the results you're after. How does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? Because really, you've been doing the work, right? You've been doing the self-development. And then you get to a place that I still feel the same, or the issue comes back. So you get a bit of freedom, and then suddenly it comes back because you haven't worked on the root cause. So therefore, you start to go, that must mean I'm broken. That must mean I'm not fixable because I did all this self-help, all this self-development, and it didn't work out. So it must mean we kind of internalize it as I'm the problem. I must be unfixable. I must be deeply broken. I've just been this way for so long, it's impossible to change. So that's where it really starts to get harmful, because we're doing all this good effort, but the result we're getting makes us just feel worse. We failed at something. And guess what? Most of the time we're trying to work on things like the fear of failure, or the fear of not being enough, or the fear of not being good and worthy and deserving. So that just even expands it, because if it didn't work, well, that must mean I'm not worthy of this change. Or it didn't work, that must mean I'm even more not good enough. So you can see how it starts to compound in a negative way when you're doing just self-development. Now, remember, I said this may push up against your boundaries, and that's okay. It's good to consider different points of view, and that is a good thing in my opinion. But what would be the solution to that? Because I'm not saying it's a bad thing. If you get your outcome, it is fine. Like if you've done the self-development and you are free of all your issues, great, it worked. I love that, and I'm so happy. But if you find yourself going into that constant loop of a little bit better, then bad again, a little bit better than bad again, or just simply feeling bad and like a failure and never being enough and all those things despite doing the work, I suggest we have to approach things differently. So if we were feeling something in the body, what would we do? We go to a doctor to be able to get the proper diagnosis, hopefully, because they're educated, they're a professional. If something happens with your car, you are going to go to hopefully a good mechanic with all the good reviews, because they're a professional. Because you wouldn't want to do the self-work and then put your children in the car of the mechanic, or once you've done the mechanical stuff, because that's dangerous. You would find someone who knows it. And going back to that point, it is easier to find someone to bypass that conscious critical faculty by doing or getting someone else to go in at a different angle. That creates deep change. If you find an expert who's able to diagnose, not medical, so I'm not talking about medical stuff here, but a professional who can diagnose the hidden root cause of the unconscious mind, what happens? You find it and you resolve it, and you let go of not only the problem, but you let go of the symptoms, and you do it in a speed of a matter of weeks, usually. Like just a matter of weeks. Could be 8, could be less, but you just do it very quickly, because that's how we tend to operate in other areas of our life. Something goes wrong in your house, you usually, if you don't know how to do it, you find an expert. We've got to change the relationship of our mind because we don't see it in the exact same way. But more importantly, the mind is so much more delicate and it's so much more impactful on the results that you can get or the pain that we remain. So if we get to a place of going, look, I'm going to find someone who knows this, and I'm not saying you should work with me here at all, in fact, because I work with a particular set of people, small amount of people, for a specific issue, and therefore the chances are the issues you experience, I'm not going to be working with that. It's just a choice that I make. So whether it be my program or someone else, it's really important to get that guidance. And I've noticed this in a different example as well. If I'm going to help more people in this world, and that's my mission, I want to help as many people in the world, and that's why I've done these over 900 episodes all for free, hundreds of hypnosis sessions for free, is because I want to help as many people in the world. Well, how did I do that? Was it just luck? No, I had to find and educate myself strategies to be able to reach people, because I could be, I'm not saying I am, but just analogy wise, I could be the best therapist, coach, hypnotist in the world, but if I don't know how to reach people, then it's worthless. So I had to spend almost equal to more time in educating myself through mentors, through businesses, to be able to help as many people, because I didn't have that skill set. So that was a very important lesson for me. And I know people who have been a hypnotherapist for like 20, 30 years and they're not full-time because they haven't been able to get that level of education. It's just one of those things, well, many people do, right? Like, I'm sure there's many people who want to do something, but they don't know how to do it because they haven't got that skill set yet. But you get that skill set by learning and educating yourself from someone who is more educated or has the ability to do so. It's just the way life is. So number one, that's the first thing. So it's a little bit controversial that self-help can create more pain, because it can, and there are better ways of doing it on a biological level with the critical faculty, bypassing that. And also, if we put it into the different contexts or different examples, it should make total sense as to why it is absolutely undeniably true. If you've still got the issue, it's important to be able to get help. It could be my free work still. So I'm not saying you've got to invest crazy amounts. You can do if you want to get there quicker, but ultimately just doing it by yourself it can be a little bit tricky, and you'll only know that if you've still experienced the same issue over and over again, or we just remain the issue. The latter part of this episode, which starts now, is ultimately, well, who are you listening to as well? And that's always a fascinating subject for me, because if I want to get in shape, I want to listen to someone or get the education from someone who is in shape. That's my preference, because they're the example of that. They've even better if they were overweight and now they're in shape. It's even better because I've got the evidence that they got there. I'm not saying that's a mandatory thing, but ideally I want to work with someone who has that education, whether it be a doctor, mechanic, and all those types of things, right? So a question you ask yourself, or should ask yourself, is who are you listening to? Are you listening to me? Is that a good thing? I don't know. You might be saying, no, absolutely not now. I don't mind that. But I would like you to still ask that question. Who are you listening to? Are you listening to the media? Are you listening to the news? Are you listening to the neighbor? Are you listening to your parents? Are you listening to your friends? Are you listening to professionals who aren't that professional? There are so many opinions and so many different angles, and sometimes we can just assume it to be true. We can assume, if, for example, if just because they're a doctor, they must be good. Well, there's always going to be good and bad doctors, right? And that's where we hopefully find the good ones. Same thing with therapists. There are good ones and bad ones. Same things with just people in general. You have maybe bad relationships and good relationships. And you only define that as maybe that we're not good in relationship, or the person we're attracting is not very good in a relationship. Maybe narcissistic, and they're putting opinions that you assume to be true after all. That must mean, yeah, I am not good enough, because they say it so often. So always ask yourself, who are you listening to? Are we taking on information as fact without understanding where that information came from? What was the intention? Is it from their belief system? For example, if you have grown up in a family situation where money was always scarce, and let's just say your mother or father or both always kept saying, look, money is the root of all evil. Well, so it comes and it goes. It's just not very good. I just can never get it. Well, if we keep listening to that as a young child, are we likely to assume that belief to be true as well? Of course we are. So we've got to question those beliefs that we have about ourselves. I was actually speaking to someone just today, and one of their belief systems came all the way back from when they were young. And that belief was nothing even to do with them. It wasn't even directed at them. But because they observed it so often and they heard it so often, they then assumed it as their own identity. So sometimes we're running beliefs and thoughts and ideas of other people which are just not even us at all, but we assume it as if it is our own idea or our own belief about ourselves or about the world. So when you're looking for help or development, it's also important to ask, what is that person about? Where am I getting this information? Am I getting my therapy from my neighbor? Am I getting my therapy from my friend who I know is a little bit narcissistic and it's always about them and they're always self-absorbent and always put me down a little bit? Because if we are, then that's not going to be very fruitful or helpful to us. And you get the opportunity to decide that. You get the opportunity to work upon yourself in different ways than you may have thought, or choosing the right people as to who to listen to. And once again, I'm not saying to listen to me here. I may be absolutely wrong on many different things, and I would absolutely not want you to take things on uncritically from me. I really don't. I want you to come to your own conclusions. I want you to go, is Joseph saying this for a certain intention? Has he applied it himself? Have I tried it on myself to see if it is actually true, rather just assuming everything I say to be true? Because I'm just saying what I think is true based on my experience. And I'm not going to say I'm always right. Sometimes I contradict myself, by the way, because I'm human. I sometimes have this thought and then I reflect differently and I have a different thought. It happens. But either way, if you just assume everything I say to be true without even questioning, I would say that's a bad thing. I'd want you to be able to take on what I'm saying and test it out. Is it true? Is it not true? Where did it come from? Is it applicable to me? So always have that in mind when you're listening to everyone, and also myself within that equation as well. Ask yourself, who am I listening to? Is it something that I can try on and test out without just unconsciously having that assumption of that's the reality? So I hope you got value from this episode, because self-help can be harmful and you can break away from it and get the right help, all the things you'd like to do. And number two, like I said, who are you listening to? Just be conscious of it, because very quickly, if we just take the analogy of the media, especially here in America, by the way, I live in America, and there's very different polarizing news stations. And depending which news station you listen to, of course, you're going to get a certain viewpoint. And I'm not saying either or both are right or wrong, but the reality is they're going to be saying something which is going to be the opposite of the other one, because it does get a little bit political. So if someone only listens to one thing, it's not going to be healthy. I want to be able to understand all points of view. I want to try to decipher and discern the differences between everything. And I'd want you to be able to do the same thing. And the reason why, because you are so important. Your brain is so important. Your heart, your mind, your body, your future. And that's why I think we should pay a little bit more attention as to what we're doing and who we're listening to. Now, of course, if you ever want the opportunity to apply to work with me, and here's the thing, like I said, I disclude certain things, only if you experience experiencing things like the imposter syndrome, anxiety, worry, self-doubt, and a lack of confidence, and you want to level up your life, and you're a professional, and you are invested, because there is an investment due to it all being customized to your unconscious mind, you can go ahead and apply at josephclough.info/talk. What you do is you fill out an application, and once you do, you then book a time to book your call to speak with us on a one-to-one level. And on that one-to-one call, they'll get clear with you as to what you want to let go of, exactly what you want to achieve, what's kind of getting in the way. We won't get to the real root cause because that's a bigger part of the process, but we'll get a good understanding if we can solve it. And if we can, we'll be upfront and honest and say yes. If not, we point you to a different direction, because we only work with certain things and we want to make sure we get the absolute result every single time. So that's josephclough.info/talk. And of course, you've got the app if you ever want to be able to get access to other things. Totally different from my main program, but it's there for you to use and just get what you need from it. So with that, my friends, I look forward to speaking to you on a future episode. Many thanks and goodbye. There we go. Hey Mary, great to have you here. Hopefully you got to see me in the end. It's annoying that they put so many then. I didn't know that. Or long ones. Yeah, there's a skip button. Most of my things you can skip after like 5 seconds. So skip, skip, skip. Oh no, love me some controversy, but gotta go. Just want to say hi and thank you to you, Joseph. I've been an app user for months now and it's been incredibly helpful on many levels. Thank you, my friend. Great to have you on the live. I know you've gone now, but great to have you here. And thank you for your kind words. Hey, Michelle, great to have you here as well. Welcome, happy Friday to you. I hope you're doing well. So there we go. That was episode 814. 814. Maybe it was meant to be 815. I think I made a mistake. Oops. If not, we'll just confuse them on the podcast. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Leah. Happy Saturday to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is crazy. It shouldn't happen. Maybe YouTube's bugging out. I saw you. I do see comments come in. I obviously just don't pay too much attention. Simply because it's the episode recording, as you know. I'm excited. Who's at the door? Who's at the door? Did I get a present? Did I manifest that prompter that I haven't purchased yet? Who knows? Who knows? So it wasn't quite the shortest episode. Usually do an hour and we're 45 minutes in. But thank you all for being here. My intention is to be here on Monday and also Friday next week, and Wednesday to do a hypnosis session. That's okay, you'll get to it. All is pretty much saying sometimes self-help can be harmful. And people are like, well, it can't be harmful.
It can't be harmful. Because I've been working on myself. And I feel a bit better. But then I don't feel better. Oh yeah, it can be. Because it makes me feel like I'm a failure. So
that's the controversy. Controversy? Sound a bit like, Sean Connery then. Controversy. Controversy. Versy. Maybe. But I've gone now. It'll be a long wait, wouldn't it? But I try to utilize it in the episode. That's what I always try to do. Utilization. Any sounds? Just utilize it. No sound happened though, so I couldn't do anything like that. Yeah, you'll get the replay. You can always scroll back. And there we go. So my friends, we'll probably leave it here. The law of attraction can be a problem for you if you don't attract. It can be a lot of shame. Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing with, let's not end right now. Because the problem with law of attraction is sometimes, there's so many problems with law of attraction, and I'm not saying it doesn't work. Because we can go down through biology, the reticular activating system, which seeks out the things you think about the most. But with the law of attraction, you only hear of the successes, right? Because that's who you're listening to. Or how many people don't get it? And then how many people aren't taking action? How many people put the law of attraction like, I want all this money, but unconsciously deep down they're going, am I worthy of money? No. So we can have this wishful thinking, but if there's deep unconscious limiting beliefs which contradict the thing that you desire, you will self-sabotage, and then it can create shame, it can create worry, it can create more scarcity, and get to that place of like, I'm not enough. Work for everyone else. I've been listening to the Secret, the documentary, so-called documentary, and I'm not hating The Secret, by the way. But you see all these successes, and if it doesn't work for you because of this unconscious blocks, or we just thought we had to do wishful thinking and that's it, then it's going to create a problem. That's why, like Neville Goddard's assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and act upon it with conviction. And then he goes on to like, you'll be now aligned. Because you assume the feeling and act upon with conviction. Yeah, almost like I planned it. I should do that. It's all a fake. Awesome, that's great. Congratulations. You get... Oh, wrong button. I gotta go back. Congratulations, Michelle. And I have not there yet. I have not smoked since the 3rd. That's great. That's amazing. That's true, they do. The Grim is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, I actually streamed on Monday as well. But I think I've recovered now. We'll start properly on Monday. This is just our tester. Monday and Friday episodes were testers of getting back in a swing of things. Hopefully my music wasn't too loud throughout that. More celebrations. Congratulations. Maybe self-help does work. But I did decipher the difference. But there we go, my friends. Like I said, it's going to be a smaller, shorter stream by 10 minutes, just simply because it was more of a quick episode. But I will be back on Monday. A hypnosis upload on Wednesday. And I'll be back on Friday. That is the plan in every single way. And what a great supportive group we have here. Like I said, there's a few people missing. But it is a Friday. Nice. Best of both. You're most welcome. Thank you for being here as always. Appreciate you and your comments. You have a good one, Med, as well. Look at that. Nice and supportive. Thank you, Mary, for sharing that as well. Okay, my friends, I look forward to speaking to you on a future episode, which will be on Monday if you can make it. Many thanks, and goodbye.